There's a saying in Japan that a tree doesn't grow in spite of the rain, but because of it. Each year, as spring quietly yields to summer, the islands of Japan enter a season unlike any other. The skies grow heavy, mountain peaks disappear behind drifting clouds, and warm rains begin their slow and deliberate return. This is Tsuyu, the rainy season. To many, it's an inconvenience. Umbrellas become constant companions, laundry refuses to dry, and the landscape disappears beneath a veil of mist. Yet for countless forms of life, these weeks are nothing less than transformative. The rain is not simply weather, it's renewal. Nowhere is this more evident than in the ancient city of Kyoto. Nestled within a basin and surrounded by forested mountains, Kyoto's humid summer climate has shaped its gardens for over 1,000 years. Moss awakens into brilliant shades of emerald, maples unfurl dense canopies of green, and every stone, lantern, and wooden gate seems softened by the gentle rhythm of falling water. Here at Eisei-en Bonsai Garden, the rainy season is not endured, it's welcomed. Every bonsai, despite its miniature size, follows the same biological rhythms as its towering relatives in the mountains beyond the city. With warm temperatures and abundant moisture, roots become increasingly active beneath the soil. Water is drawn upwards through the trunk, carrying dissolved minerals to every growing shoot. Fresh needles harden, new leaves mature, and dormant buds quietly prepare for seasons yet to come. To the casual observer, little appears to change. But beneath the bark, an extraordinary transformation is unfolding. Cells divide at remarkable speed. New layers of wood are laid down within the trunk. Fine feeder roots extend through the soil in search of oxygen and nutrients, while the tree stores the energy that will sustain it through summer and into the winter. The quiet rain above conceals a world of relentless activity below. For the bonsai artist, this is one of the year's most important seasons. Summer maintenance demands constant attention. Vigorous shoots are carefully pruned to preserve proportion. Pines are decandled to encourage finer branching. Junipers are selectively thinned to admit light and air into their interiors. Even watering becomes an art, balancing nature's generosity with careful observation of each individual tree. Every decision influences not merely this year's growth, but the tree's future, decades from now. The rain itself leaves its own unmistakable mark upon the garden. Droplets gather delicately along the tips of Japanese maple leaves before falling silently into shallow basins below. Lichens brighten against weathered bark, moss cushions soften between carefully placed stones while reflecting shimmer across still pools with each passing shower. Familiar scenes become entirely different beneath muted skies. In Japanese aesthetics, beauty is often found not in perfection, but in impermanence, in moments that exist only briefly before giving way to the next. A garden in the rain embodies this philosophy perfectly. The drifting mist, the scent of damp earth, the quiet percussion of water upon foliage, these experiences cannot be preserved. They can only be witnessed, appreciated, and then surrendered to memory. Perhaps this is why bonsai feels so at home during the rainy season. For although these trees may appear timeless, they are never truly still. Every drop of rain, every new root, every carefully placed cut contributes to a story unfolding so gradually that it often escapes notice. Decades of patient cultivation are built from moments that, on their own, seem almost insignificant. As another shower passes over Kyoto, the garden grows silent once more. The rain will eventually give way to the intense heat of midsummer, and before long, autumn winds will begin their slow descent from the surrounding mountains. But for now, the bonsai simply continue to grow, as they have for generations, nourished by the rain, shaped by careful hands, and quietly reflecting the enduring rhythms of the natural world. But in Japan, the rainy season does not fade away gradually. It ends almost overnight. The lingering clouds retreat toward the Pacific, blue skies emerge for the first time in weeks, and a powerful subtropical air mass settles across the country. What follows is one of the most demanding periods of the Japanese year. Daytime temperatures frequently climb beyond 35 degrees Celsius. Humidity remains persistently high, and the intensity of the summer sun transforms every exposed surface. For bonsai, this sudden shift presents an entirely new challenge. The same warmth and moisture that fueled vigorous growth during Tsuyu now become a source of relentless stress. Small ceramic containers with only a fraction of the soil available to trees growing in nature heat rapidly beneath the sun. Root temperatures can rise dramatically within a matter of hours, while evaporation accelerates with every passing breeze. A mature Japanese white pine standing on a mountainside may send its roots several meters into cool, stable ground. A bonsai has no such luxury. Its entire world exists within a shallow pot. At Eisei-en Kyoto, adapting to this seasonal transition is a carefully choreographed ritual. As the rains disappear, temporary shade structures must be built above the benches. Wooden frames and carefully tensioned shade cloth stretch across the garden, filtering the harsh midday sunlight while still allowing enough illumination for healthy photosynthesis. The transition is subtle but essential. Rather than shielding the trees from summer altogether, the shade softens its extremes. Afternoon leaf temperatures are reduced, delicate moss coverings remain alive, and the fine feeder roots hidden beneath the soil are protected from the dangerous heat that can accumulate inside the pots. Even beneath the shade, however, the work has only just begun. Watering becomes an exercise in constant observation. Some trees require watering several times each day, while others must be allowed to dry slightly between waterings to maintain healthy root systems. Every species responds differently. Every pot retains moisture differently, and every tree demands individual attention. The garden, once quiet beneath the gentle rhythm of falling rain, now hums with a different urgency. Hoses weave in between the benches from dawn until evening, fans circulate air through dense foliage. Trees are rotated, inspected, and repositioned as the angle of the sun changes throughout the season.
Is there a bug?
What appears to visitors as a tranquil collection of miniature trees is, in reality, a landscape under constant stewardship. This is the paradox of bonsai. Its greatest beauty often conceals its greatest vulnerability. A tree that appears ancient and immovable may depend entirely upon carefully erected canopies of shade, a timely watering, or the attentive eye of its caretaker. For all their appearance of permanence, bonsai survive only through an intimate understanding of the changing seasons, and a willingness to adapt alongside them.
There's a bug here.
There's a bug there? Where? Where's the bug? Oh, it's a cicada. It might still be alive. You want to see if it's still alive? Here.
What cicada means?
セミだよ。
セミなの？
これセミだよ。
ね。
Mostly. Sometimes they wake back up. Oh, 死んでるよ。いる？
As Kyoto settles into the long heat of midsummer, the garden enters its most demanding chapter of the year. The rains have given these trees the strength to grow. Now, through patience, experience, and quiet daily care, they must be guided safely through the relentless weeks that follow. As the summer temperatures heat up, even the most devoted bonsai professional occasionally seeks relief from Kyoto's relentless summer. For centuries, the people of this ancient city have looked north. Beyond Kyoto's urban basin, the roads climb steadily into the mountains of Keihoku, where cedar forests blanket the valleys and the air becomes noticeably cooler. Here, the landscape moves to a different rhythm. The sounds of traffic fade, replaced by the murmur of flowing water and the chorus of cicadas echoing through the trees. It's a place where summer feels altogether gentler. Crystal clear rivers fed by mountain springs wind through the forest before beginning their journey south towards Kyoto. On the hottest days, families gather along the rocky banks, children leap into the cool water, and the current often welcomes an escape from the heavy heat lingering over the city below. The surrounding countryside is equally generous. Roadside farm stands overflow with vegetables: deep purple eggplants, sweet tomatoes warmed by the morning sun, crisp cucumbers, fragrant shiso, and freshly picked sweet corn. The abundance is unmistakably seasonal, a quiet reminder that Japan's cuisine has always been shaped by the landscapes and rhythms of each passing month. For those who cultivate bonsai, these mountains are more than a summer retreat. They are the source of much that gives Kyoto its character. The rivers provide the water that nourishes the gardens below. The forests moderate the climate, supply the cedar and cypress that have built temples and tea houses for centuries, and create the landscapes from which generations of bonsai artists have drawn their inspiration. It's impossible to separate the garden from the mountains that surround it.
Oh, 取れた取れた。もう一つ大きいの入れとこな。はいはい。スルーって言うてくれはんねんけど、 後がかゆくってね。
ああ、それはちょっと。
大変やね。痛いよ。
Here at Eisei-en, every tree reflects a fragment of the natural world beyond its pot. A windswept pine clinging to a granite ridge, a maple flourishing in the cool shade of a mountain valley, or a juniper weathered by decades of snow and wind. These miniature landscapes are not imagined. They are memories of places like Keihoku, distilled through years of careful observation and patient craftsmanship. As another summer day draws to a close, cool mountain water continues its journey downstream towards Kyoto, nourishing the city, its gardens, and the countless living things that depend upon it. The bonsai rest quietly beneath their shade cloth. The evening air begins to soften, and for a brief moment, the intensity of midsummer gives way to stillness. Tomorrow, though, the cycle will begin again, as it has for generations. Guided by the mountains, sustained by the seasons, and shaped by the enduring relationship between people and the landscape they call home.